Marilyn Monroe, photographed without makeup in 1960. Do you prefer this natural look? Let us know. Actor John Matuszak endures hours of heavy makeup to become Sloth for The Goonies. A tense moment in 1959 as angry protesters rally against racial integration in American schools. A completely surreal photograph from the 1950s. Does anyone know what is happening here? Write below. Born into a line of sideshow performers, Grady Stiles Jr. was famously known as the Lobster Boy. Unusual 1940s beach fashion featuring striped bathing suits. Do you think this trend was a bad idea? A shocking 1914 comparison of a Chinese woman's bound lotus feet next to a normal shoe. The incredible T. Alba, known in 1920 for writing with her hands, feet, and mouth simultaneously. A brave French World War I veteran poses, showing the physical toll of the conflict. Top model Celia Hammond campaigns for the ethical treatment of farm animals in 1970s London. A sailor tests the Momsen lung, an experimental rescue breathing apparatus for submarine crews in 1930. Liberated prisoners of the Wubelin concentration camp finally await life-saving medical care in 1945. Germany. A vintage beauty contest lineup from 1936. Which of these women would get your vote? Arnold Schwarzenegger enjoying a relaxing day on the beaches of Malibu back in 1991. A tragic medical portrait from the 1860s, showing a child suffering from severe hydrocephalus. A strange childcare solution from 1930, where babies were zipped into outdoor sleeping bags. The bizarre mermaid hoax discovered in Aden around 1900. How real is this find, in your opinion? A highly unusual 1920s flapper fad, where young women hand-painted detailed portraits directly onto their knees. A startling medical photograph from 1890, capturing severe hyperthyroidism in a young boy. The stunning winner of the Miss Nairobi beauty pageant, celebrating her victory in Kenya, 1966. A charming slice of mid-century life, showing two close girlfriends posing together in 1950. A chilling moment in history, capturing the crowd at America's very last public execution in 1936. Demonstrating unbelievable flexibility, a young girl bends backward to perform the limbo dance in 1964. Italian actress Sophia Loren taking a glamorous break on the set of her 1967 film. Unsettling 1860s experiments, using electrical currents to force extreme facial expressions onto a human subject. The absolute epitome of vintage European glamour, capturing the Miss France beauty pageant winner in 1920. A controversial 1997 photo showing Arnold Schwarzenegger posing with his housekeeper and their illegitimate son. Elizabeth Taylor completely engrossed in reacting fiercely while watching a boxing match in 1960. The Mangbetu people bound heads to create an elongated shape, considered the ultimate ideal of beauty in 1930. American paratroopers sporting Mohawk haircuts as they received their final briefing before dropping into Germany in 1945. A teenage Cameron Diaz as a cheerleader in 1988. Should we publish youth photos of celebrities? Tell us. A horrifying glimpse into war as a Japanese soldier prepares to execute a Chinese captive in 1938. A tragic photograph of a pregnant Sharon Tate, taken just 1 week before her murder in 1969. A terrifying 1870 medical photo showing a metal clamp holding a patient's eye open for cataract surgery. A disastrous airplane takeoff in 1920. How did photographers manage to capture this split-second crash? The awe-inspiring scale of nature as explorers pose next to massive trees in Sequoia National Park, 1915. Actress Brigitte Helm takes a cooling break while wearing the heavy robot suit on the set of Metropolis, 1927. The eccentric Luigi Lineri, who spent over 50 years gathering and categorizing river stones in Italy. A deeply unsettling 1958 photograph taken by psychopathic killer Harvey Glatman, posing as a professional photographer. The incredible scale of Hollywood set design, building the massive world of The Lord of the Rings in 2000. A bizarre theatrical performance held in Liverpool to celebrate the centenary of the railway in 1930. The chilling final moments of a German spy tied to a post before his execution by American troops in 1944. Madness in the stands. A Manchester United fan with a dart pierced into his face during a 1970 match. An unusual 1922 dental strategy where an assistant plays a gramophone to distract the patient from pain. Schoolchildren and their teacher wearing protective cardboard boxes to safely watch a solar eclipse in 1963. Sophia Loren, looking flawless during a historical costume fitting for the film Attila in 1954. A staggering reality in the 1950s, where it took 10,000 pounds of pig pancreas to produce 1 pound of insulin. Princess Diana stops to pick up an elderly woman's dropped cane during a 1989 visit to Hong Kong. Model and fitness expert Betty Brosmer showing off her legendary hourglass figure in 1950s America. A rare cultural crossover showing legendary musician Elton John attending a Soviet football match in 1979. A wonderfully creepy homemade skeleton Halloween costume, perfectly captured on film back in 1915. A fiery demonstration fills the streets of Manhattan in 1988, led by protesters carrying a provocative slogan. The hysteria of Beatlemania. A doctor rushes to revive fans who fainted from screaming during a 1964 concert. Palestinian women carrying water jugs on their heads in 1890. How did they maintain such perfect posture? A glimpse into early animation history, showing Walt Disney and his team working on Alice Solves the Puzzle in 1925. Hugh Hefner and his girlfriend surrounded by Playboy bunnies at the London Club in 1969. 4,000-year-old carved snow goggles used by Arctic residents to protect their eyes from snow blindness. A desperate scene from 1991 as an overcrowded ship of Albanian refugees attempts to reach Italy. The classic, effortless vintage glamour of Jocelyn Lane, a highly sought-after actress and model in the 1950s. Dutch cyclist Piet van Kempen taking a rest between grueling laps at a 1936 velodrome race. A high school basketball player takes a unique free throw in the 1920s. What do you think of this technique? The world's tallest Christmas tree, towering an unbelievable 212 feet over Seattle in the 1950s. A highly unusual 1938 New York nightclub attraction, featuring an intense boxing match using hands and feet. The Pacific Coast Highway passing right through a hollowed-out red cedar stump in 1920 Washington. The legendary master of suspense Alfred Hitchcock looking inspired beside the River Thames in 1958. An industrial site, as stacks of fresh rubber tires are manually transported across the Renault factory in 1950. A 13-year-old Cher photographed at a police station in 1959 after joyriding in her mother's car. Miss America contestants, including Miss Bronx, Edith Higgins, 1925. Who would you vote for? A 1930 portrait of a Muscu woman from Chad, displaying traditional stretched lip plates as a symbol of beauty. The ultimate symbol of 1960s cool, the iconic couple Serge Gainsbourg and Jane Birkin, photographed in 1968. A heartbreaking medical record from 1919, showing a patient suffering from extreme hydrocephalus and diplegia. Actress Donna Drake, playfully taking aim with a rifle from the balcony of her Los Angeles home in 1942. The incredibly stylish design of a classic American Ford police cruiser in 1959. Chinese Americans passionately protesting the shipment of scrap iron to Japan in 1939. A chilling display as thousands of Ku Klux Klan members openly marched through Washington, D.C. in 1926. The peak of 1980s beach culture, a California bikini contest from 1986. Which number gets your vote? British illusionist Jeffrey Atkins baffling crowds with a stunt right in the middle of Heathrow Airport in 1971. The Iranian women's national soccer team proudly posing in 1976, years before strict dress codes changed their world. The height of tragic luxury, first-class cabin aboard the Titanic in 1912. Would you enjoy this interior? First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt practicing with a revolver in 1934 after refusing her Secret Service protection. The beautiful Ruth Malcolmson smiling brightly after being crowned Miss America at the age of 18 in 1924. The terrifying Codex Gigas, known as the Devil's Bible, the largest and most mysterious manuscript in the world. An unbelievable act of forgiveness. Pope John Paul II peacefully speaking with the man who tried to assassinate him. A visual comparison showing how the legendary Titanic looks incredibly tiny next to a modern cruise ship. The rebellious spirit of Prohibition in 1925, showing people secretly drinking illegal bootleg alcohol. Dutch children casually playing right next to live American artillery shells on a city street in 1944. The definition of 1980s television glamour, actress Heather Locklear posing during the peak of her career. Women of a Namibian tribe famously known for their intricate and amazing braided hairstyles in 1926. A rarely seen photograph of North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung, showing the tumor on his neck in the 1980s. An incredibly early X-ray of Nikola Tesla's leg, taken by himself using a device he invented in 1896. absolute insanity in 1873. A daredevil known as Bellini making a tightrope leap over the Niagara River. A vintage gas station from the 1920s advertising fuel for 2 cents a gallon. What do you think of those prices? The glamorous and carefree excess of the Roaring Twenties, captured as partygoers pour towers of champagne. A grim and deeply unsettling look inside a crowded and brutal Panama prison yard back in 1908. The ugly reality of apartheid. A European-only public seating bench enforcing racial segregation in South Africa, 1958. A condemned Turkish man peacefully washes his feet for his final prayers, while soldiers build his gallows in 1913. Early and reckless automotive stunts. A daring driver launching a car off a wooden ramp in 1922 Texas. A Viet Cong deserter demonstrates exactly how guerrilla fighters slipped through American wire defenses in 1967. The iconic British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, proudly wearing a bizarre collection of different hats over the years. The beginnings of cycling culture, a formal bicycle club posing with their high-wheel penny farthings in 1884. Looking like a rocket ship. The experimental Lockheed vertical takeoff and landing fighter, tested in 1954. The terrifying normalization of war. A German mother wearing a gas mask while walking her baby in 1942. A staggering visual jump through history. A side-by-side comparison showing how drastically the world changed in 66 years. The breathtaking Italian actress Ornella Muti, radiating effortless European elegance in a portrait from the 1970s. The exhausting reality of colonial labor. Women manually sorting massive piles of tea leaves in 1880s Ceylon. A striking anthropological portrait from 1868, capturing Turkmentique warriors dressed in their unusual traditional attire. The terrifying final moments of Shirley Ann Bridgeford, bound and gagged in a photograph taken by her killer in 1952. A powerful shift in education. Young Uzbek schoolgirls sitting together in a mathematics classroom in 1921 Tashkent. Long before she won an Academy Award, a young Gwyneth Paltrow flashes a bright smile for a childhood photograph. A bizarre tug-of-war at the border. 2 patrol officers desperately dragging a fleeing fugitive back in the 1920s. Japanese soldiers relaxing in strange, improvised wooden barrel-field baths during the 1904 Russo-Japanese War. The tragic life of Pearl Rambo. Weighing 600 pounds at age 14, she performed at carnivals until her death in 1918. Pure rebellion. Hungarian children throwing piles of Soviet propaganda into street bonfires during the 1956 uprising. Absolute chaos spreading through the streets of New York as crowds loot stores during the 1977 Brooklyn blackout. The brutal fight for civil rights. Police officers beating participants during an LGBT march in 1970 New York. The haunting aftermath. Director Roman Polanski sitting devastated on his doorstep shortly after the murder of his pregnant wife. The deadly cost of extreme hoarding, removing 130 tons of garbage from a home where a man was crushed to death. Czechoslovakian serial killer nurse Marie Fikáčková demonstrates her horrific crimes during an investigative experiment in 1961. An absolute wall of pure muscle, the massive Detroit Police Department tug-of-war team posing in 1991. From war machines to tiny cars. In 1954, the German fighter plane manufacturer Messerschmitt started building 3-wheeled micro-vehicles,